let me just give you some preliminaries. So I mentioned Claude Code earlier. I'm going to use Claude Code at the command line. There are lots of other choices. It's just Claude Code is the one that I know the best, and I like it quite a bit. So that doesn't mean it's right for everybody, and there are lots of tools out there that are very powerful. So the process that we're going to go through is we're going to identify the problem. I've got a problem made up already. So we're going to identify the problem. Then we're going to describe what we want. And once we get the description, I'm going to drop down and start using Claude. And we're going to monitor the process as Claude writes the code. And you'll see a lot of back and forth there. I hope it works, right? You never know. I mean, I practiced this once before I got online with you today, but we're going to do it from scratch. So Claude's not going to have any memory of what it did before, and who knows where it's going to go. Then once it's written the code, we're going to test it out. I'm hoping there might be a bug or two that we can get Claude to fix. We'll see. And then we'll refine. So that's the process that we're going to go through. So here is identifying the problem. So we're going to pretend the following scenario. And I just made this up, but I've seen things like this in companies before. Every night, some zip files land in a directory, right? Like some data is coming in. Each of those zip files contains a spreadsheet essentially in CSV format. I got to open them, see what they contain, and then I got to send a Slack message to the data science Slack channel with the name of the file and the summary, right? So like every day I'm looking at this data, I got to unzip it. I got to sort of look at the header of the CSV, figure out what the data is, and then go like, hey, data science team, this thing is here. Take a look at it. And I got to do that every time, every morning I have to work on that thing. So that's the problem. That's the pain point. I would like to be able to automate that if possible. So now I realize this is a bunch of text, but this is actually literally what we're going to start out with. So I'm going to cut and paste that into Claude. We're going to do that next. So I went from the problem to a thing that's a little bit more specific. So now I'm saying I want a program I can run that looks in the directory named data. So I'm telling it where to look, extracts the contents of each zip file, which will be a single CSV per zip. So I'm telling it there's going to be zip files, there's a CSV in each of those. And I want to generate a 2-3 sentence summary of what each CSV contains. I'm also going to want a graphical user interface that shows the name of each CSV and the summary. And I want to be able to edit the summaries. Then I want to be able to check boxes for the ones that I want to send to the data science Slack channel. And those that I sent select are going to be sent as separate messages with a description and the name of the file, right? So we're going to cut and paste exactly that thing into Claude here in just a second. Now, I want to point out I add this graphical user interface because I know nothing about graphical user interface programming. And if you asked me to build a web page to do this, it would take me a week, right? Right, if I had to do it on my own with just Google. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to start out, right, live demo. So keep your fingers crossed. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I'm hopeful. So I'm going to start out by just literally taking that guy. I'm going to go over here to the command line. So notice I've got this directory called coding demo. Inside coding demo is a data directory. And if I look at data, I've just got some zip files there, right? So it's exactly the thing that I was talking about. So now I'm going to run Claude on the command line. And by command line, it means just here, it's like PowerShell or the command prompt in Windows. And so I'm going to run Claude, and it'll come up and say, hey, welcome back, Tim. It knows me. It doesn't know anything about what's going on in this directory. And so here I can type stuff. So I'm just going to paste that thing in. Looks like I missed. So I want a program I can run. So that's exactly what I said. Now, before I let it go, it turns out it has a few different modes. There's a thing called plan mode. So I just put it in plan mode. And by putting it in plan mode, I'm saying, hey, what I would like you to do is to take this input and then think about what you would like me to do, um, and come back with a plan. So it says, oh, I'll help you create this program. Let me first explore your project structure to understand what we're working with. And notice it's going, yeah, there's nothing there, right? So then it's going to come up with a plan. Now, interestingly, it says, all right, it looks like it's wanting to do some unzipping. I can say, do you want me to proceed? Yes. Or don't ask me again for unzip commands. And so typically what I do is I just say, yeah, like have at it, right? Um, And so now I think it's looking at some of the data. It's trying to figure out what to do. In a minute, it's going to come back with a plan. Um, and let me ask a few clarifying questions. Okay, great. So this is the kind of thing that a coding agent will do. It said, all right, I sort of understand the general intent. So let me ask you a few clarifying questions. So notice it's asking about the GUI framework. So it's saying, do you want, native Python? Do you want a professional looking modern interface, more features, but requires installation? I'm actually going to go with a web-based interface. Again, just because I can. You could choose any of these things and hopefully it would work. The summary type. You can either have basic analysis. So now I'm going to sort of summarize the CSVs. I can do AI generated or some hybrid approach. I am going to go with AI generated. It's going to require an API key. And then it's asking, Slack, hey, do I have a token or I need to set it up? It turns out I know for a fact that I can do this. I want to do this with a Slack webhook, which I already have, right? Okay. And then what should happen with the extracted CSV files after processing? I'm going to say keep extracted, right? Okay. And then I'm ready to submit my answer. So now what's going to happen, right? So it's very supportive. It's like enthusiastic. Perfect. Now I have all the information I need. And you can see that it's sort of thinking about it and it tells you, hey, here's what we're going to do. I have an implementation plan. We're not going to read this real carefully. It's going to create a requirements file. There's going to be some environmental setup. It's going to write some Python files. And I'm going to say yes, right? So in some sense, the vibe coding, the sort of vibe and vibe coding is you just go, yeah, do it, right? So um, go for it. Now, what it's going to do is it says, hey, I'm going to implement this solution. And you can see here are the elements in the plan, and it's going to start moving through those things. So it's creating an environment. It's creating extract CSVs directory. It's going to build a processor, Slack notifier, and then an application that we can run, and then use it'll create a README for the whole thing. So I will say, so this is going to take just a couple of minutes, and I'll, maybe try and fill in the time a little bit. This is a very, very common way of interacting with coding agents. And this is all just very much as part of a conversation. Another way that people tend to interact with coding agents is they'll say, hey, here's the thing I want to build. I would like you to come up with a plan for it, right? Or a specification for it and write it out as a document. And so often people will use a coding agent to come up with a system design, and then that system design is editable, and you can go in and sort of load that in and read the system design and then say, do I like it? Do I want to tweak things? And then once the system design is set up, you can run Claude again and say, okay, great. Look in this file. There's a design for a system I'd like you to build. Can you consume that and build it for me? Creating the README. So we are almost there. Okay, so let's see. It did all that stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to say, how do I set up and run the program, right? Like that's all in the README, but let's see if we can get it to tell us here. Okay, so it's telling me some things to do. Actually, let me minimize that. And I'm just gonna do this. So, whoops. Uh, Coding demo. So you can see it's actually written a bunch of stuff here. So it says run pip install requirements.txt. I'm going to do that. And then it's going to say, let's let that run. And again, you need to understand like at all what's happening here. It's just like, I'm just going to get a bunch of software that I need. Um, okay, that's fine. Let's deal with that later. Let's hope everything works. Okay, and then it's telling me I need to get my Claude API key. What I'm going to say is I want to use OpenAI instead of Claude. And if you look in dot dot slash keys dot text, you'll find the key and the webhook. Can you configure the env for me? Right? So that was this other thing it said. And then we should just be able to run the application. So it's going to read the keys and then it's going to change. Oh, yes, I would like you to go do that. So notice already I've said, hey, I've sort of changed. I don't want to use Claude. I want to use OpenAI for whatever reason. And it's going to go in and say, okay, I'm going to grab that content that you pointed me to. I'm going to update the CSV processor to call ChatGPT, for example. So, right, so instead of calling Anthropic, it's going to look at OpenAI. Then it's going to sort of go, well, now I need to get all the OpenAI software. And then I'm going to create the environment and then update the README with the OpenAI instructions. So I think we're very close to being able to run it. And so again, like if I had to write this code, I would have to tell you, like, okay, here's a plan. We'll reconvene in a week and we'll work on this thing. So now it's setting up the thing that prepares the environment and it's going to update the README. So now it's working on the README. And then I'm going to ask it what it wants me to do. Like, how can I run it? Okay, so we're almost there. And you can see it sort of downloading. All right, so updated, modified, created. There we go. So now we're just going to update the dependencies. So let's do that. And then we're going to try and run the app. Okay, so that's good. And now we're going to actually see what it built. So let's do that. Let's see if there's an error that occurs. So now we're just running the application. Oh, interesting. Okay, so now since it's a web-based app, we're actually going to go see what we've got. Right. All right, there you go. CSV summary and, and Slack sender. Um, all right. So what it did was it found three CSV files. We've got shopping behavior, bank marketing, patient churn. Here's the summaries. The summary of this one says the CSV file contains detailed customer shopping behavior, including metrics such as age, gender, item purchase, etc. So notice that this thing is, I can say, Tim, look at this, and then I can say, whoops, Alice, look at this. So I'm going to select that one and that one, and then send selected to Slack. All right, let's see if it actually hit Slack. Oh, I had quit Slack otherwise. All right, so let's take a look in the data science channel. We're going to go here and data science. Okay, hang on. Let's try that again just because. Okay. Well, I don't see it going to Slack, but oh, nope, there it is. Okay. So it was waiting, right? So now I got Tim, look at this, Alice, look at this, and it did it again, right? So now what we've got is we've got this CSV summary bot that said, hey, there's this, shopping behavior updated CSV and so on, right? So what I would suggest is like think about how miraculous that was. I don't know how long that whole demo took. Maybe it was 10 minutes. I'm not sure. But what happened was we went from nothing. We went from a statement of a problem to having a functioning piece of code with a not horrible user interface. I'm sure that there are designers out there who could make it much better, but it does exactly what we asked for.